Welcome to the Master Dealmaker's Secrets podcast. And now, here's sales growth strategist, John Blake.
Welcome to Master Dealmaker's Secrets. I'm John Blake. This is episode 97, and today we're going to be talking about sales meetings. Now, not the sales meetings when you're actually face-to-face with someone. I'm talking about sales meetings when you have a business and you've got a team of salespeople and you want to meet with them on a regular basis and essentially find out what they're up to. So really excited to be talking about this. It's a big area of improvement for many of the clients I work with. But first, if you've got leads, you want to convert more of those leads into sales. These are people that you have already spoken to but didn't say yes. In most businesses I walk into, there is a huge list of people who have been spoken to but have not purchased yet. If this is you, even if you've got a handful, even if you've got a dozen, what I've got for you is going to work particularly well. It's over at johnblakeaudio.com. What you're going to get is an audio training where I show you the exact strategy that you can use to essentially double sales with your existing lead flow. It's the same strategy that I start all of my high-ticket clients on. It works really well, which is what you want once you put it into place. And the best thing is that you can teach other people to do it so you don't have to. So once it's working, it'll work really well for you. It's at johnblakeaudio.com. Not only will you get the audio training that walks you through exactly what to do, what you'll also get is a PDF guide that has the exact word-for-word email follow-up templates and exactly what to say when you ring somebody up on the phone, and also how often you should contact them over a 90-day period so that you're proactive, so that you are showing up as and are perceived as being professional, but most importantly, so you don't piss anyone off. So you can get that over at johnblakeaudio.com. Get it working for your business, and I'm sure that you will be coming back to me and letting me know how well it works. I get people downloading this all the time. In fact, I get the same people come back and download this particular resource multiple times. Perhaps they lost the front one, perhaps they're just lazy, I don't know, but people are continually downloading this thing. It works really well. I think I've said enough about it. All right, so episode 97. Now, what we're going to talk about is sales meetings. So, like a lot of things, the assumption is that people's sales meetings are pretty good. That they work for the purpose that that they're catching up for in the first place, which is to move opportunities along the funnel or the process toward actually becoming a paying client. But often, once I sit in on a few, I realize that that's actually not the case. And there are some pretty major things that I find, some pretty major mistakes and pretty major problems. So I'm going to talk about those, but I'm not just going to leave you in the lurch. I'm going to give you some specific things that you can do to make sure that your sales meetings are actually doing what it is that you want them to do. So many sales and business development meetings actually have very little to do with sales or growing the business. They can tend to be hijacked and they blow out in terms of talk about product. They blow out in terms of admin type queries, admin type grievances. They tend to be one-way traffic. So you'll have the owner or the sales manager really doing most of the talking, and as a result, what you find is that they tend to be more operational in nature, and they tend to have little to do with actual sales or moving opportunities along. And so this is a problem because key actions and commitments are required to move opportunities through your pipeline. And if you're not actually recording commitments and specific actions that individuals in that opportunity meeting are going to take to move those opportunities along, well, then what happens is that in the next meeting, there's no accountability. So it's like, I could make a commitment to call a particular client or to find out what's happening with a particular opportunity. But if it's not recorded, and those minutes aren't sent out to everybody as a reminder to what was agreed, then we could rock up to the next month, to the next week's sales meeting or the next fortnight sales meeting if you're having them fortnightly, and there's no accountability, which means that the previous meeting was primarily a waste of time. So that's a really key thing. One of the other problems that I see is that a particular subject will come up, and then that there will be a disproportionate amount of time that's allocated to talking about an operational thing that could probably have been covered off on in an email or a memo. Often they don't stick to time, and because of that they blow out. So someone's allocated an hour to be there or half an hour to be there, and then they don't get out for an hour and a half or even 2 hours because no one's respected the time and it hasn't been run efficiently. And so they're late for the next appointment, and so the meeting becomes counterproductive to the outcome that you would ultimately want the meeting to achieve, which is more sales. So if the key actions to win work aren't done, then guess what? The company won't win the work. The other problem with BD meetings is that they're run too infrequently, which means often key opportunities are getting missed, or again, people aren't being held accountable to key actions to move those opportunities along. And ultimately what you get is meetings that are considered boring, people making excuses not to turn up, people not looking forward to going to them, and they just become counterproductive to the reason that particular meeting was called in the first place. So, what can you do about it? Well, here are a list of 7 things. So this is by no means everything, but here are 7 things that you can do to turn your meeting into something that people want to rock up to, that is energizing, and that actually moves opportunities along. Because what you're doing in a meeting format is that you're actually leveraging the power of the peer group. So if I make a commitment in front of the 8 other people that are in the meeting, and I know that I'm going to be held accountable to that in the next meeting, then I'm going to do it. I'm so much more likely to do it than if I, say I'm going to do something, but no one writes it down, no one sends it in a minute to all the people that were at the meeting to remind everybody what the commitments were. If none of that happens, then I'm very unlikely to deliver on that commitment that I've made to my peers. So here's the list of 7 things. So a great sales meeting framework has the following. It starts and finishes on time. If there are things that are going to require further discussion, they are discussed outside of the meeting. There is somebody responsible for chairing the meeting. So there's someone responsible for making sure that the meeting stays on track, and that the all of the key things are covered off on, and also that it's facilitated in the right way. So there's somebody that chairs the meeting. There is somebody who is responsible for making sure that the segments are timed, and that you move on from segment to segment within the allocated time frame that has been given to each segment of the meeting. That way, you don't get a blowout on one particular segment. And over time, what you can do is you can time to see, what segments take up the most time, and you can allocate time accordingly. There's somebody responsible for taking the minutes, and that person cannot be the person who's chairing the meeting, and it cannot be the person who is making sure that each segment is sticks to time. There are commitments and actions that are recorded for each participant, especially ones that keep opportunities in the pipeline moving forward. Those commitments are revisited in the next meeting to hold everybody accountable, and they're also sent out within a day. So if the meeting happened on a Tuesday morning, you would want to make sure that those minutes went out on the Wednesday, and you would also want to make sure that probably a reminder went out on the Friday. So any commitments that had been made, there's been 2 reminders to make sure that those commitments are adhered to before the next meeting. So that's just a partial list. There's a whole bunch of extra things, and making sure that each business is different, so the requirements of each opportunity meeting tend to be different as well. Naturally, if you need more help with that, let me know, because I've helped a whole bunch of different businesses to restructure their sales meetings to make them more effective, and it does have a particularly positive effect on the amount of business that comes out of the actions that come out of that meeting, and it keeps everybody accountable, and it's just a good way to get together, and they should be positive things. People should be walking out feeling good about themselves. So if you want more help with that, email me, John, John, at john-blake.com.au. Blake is Blake. I do get my emails. I do respond to them. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will talk to you on the next podcast. Cheers.
You've been listening to Master Dealmaker's Secrets with John Blake. Subscribe to get more in-depth strategies to maximize your sales process with new episodes every week. And double your inquiry to sale conversion with the lead flow you already have. Go to johnblakeaudio.com for his exclusive free no-fluff audio training and companion PDF guide.